Morning. It is Monday, the 31st day, the last day of January of 2022. And while it's the last day of the month, Kristen Boyce, I have not seen you in about a month. So welcome back to Mental Health Monday.
It's so good to be here, Mayor Jensen. I have missed everybody. I've missed our conversations, and I'm so thrilled to be here today.
I have missed as well. I've attempted to grow some facial hair while we were gone here a little bit. So I feel like we've grown up a little bit over the holidays. And I was so excited this morning on the way into work doing some square breathing on State Road 32 to talk to you a little bit today because, it's just I like the new year. I like January. I'm glad it's the last day of January because I'm more of a springtime person. But it's a sense of renewal here, a sense of opportunity, of new beginnings for a lot of people, which we talked a lot about at the end of last year. The holidays can be tricky for some people. So we've turned the corner here and we're heading into a new month and a new year. So I am so excited to just continue Mental Health Monday in 2022. I've had people stop me on the streets. I've had people email me and say, hey, let's get back in the groove here. Let's continue talking about our mental health. And so I'm honored to be here with you yet again to have this conversation. So I'm blessed to have you alongside me. So we're going to talk today about a whole host of things. We're going to focus in on 5 patterns that get us kind of stuck. And so you're going to kind of coach us through that a little bit. This can be a time of year where folks have resolutions. It's quite frankly probably a time of year now where those resolutions are either making it or breaking it for you. And I can talk personally about that a little bit here too. So it's a great time to have this conversation around what gets us stuck in our ways. But before we do that, end all be all, let's do some square breathing exercise as we always start our Mental Health Monday off with.
So in order to break our patterns today, this is going to be our first step. You know, this is my first step for everything, really, truly. So we're going to start with our breath, feet on the floor, and you can do this anytime, any place, anywhere. This is to reset, recenter, reconnect, and get out of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fawn is that people-pleasing pattern we can get into, and back to the present moment. So feet on the floor, we're going to inhale through our nose and exhale out our mouth. And that helps reset the nervous system. We're re-regulating the nervous system. We're kind of going back to some self-soothing. So we take full responsibility for our own well-being. So let's do that together. We're going to do 2 breaths, a big deep inhale through our nose. Hold. And exhale slowly out your mouth. Let's do it together. So I'm going to invite everybody on the other side that's joining us. We're so happy you're here. Please do this with us. It will help reset your nervous system. We're going to inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale slowly out your mouth for 8. So one more breath. Inhale and release. Just notice your nervous system, how you're resetting. And if you need to continue with the breathing, we invite you to do that during our time together. And it sounds like this was helpful for you, Mayor Jensen, on the way into work today.
I always said I drive State Road 32 every day. That's kind of my time to reflect or kind of think about where the day is coming. And so I'm doing some square breathing on my drive in most days. So I did it quite a bit over the holidays. I think that's an important time. We talked about the stresses of the holidays for folks. So hopefully you were able to use some of those tactics that we've been giving you here throughout this conversation to get yourself through the holidays. As always, if you have any questions on today's show or any comments or want to say hi, Mrs. Hines, good morning, please feel free to write that in the chat. We love to hear from you. I love seeing people on the streets or send me a note later that, enjoyed a certain show here that we went over. So this is meant to be interactive. This is for the community, although it's a great way for me to get some therapy too. So I appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation. But let us know if you have any questions or comments or want to say hi throughout the show. So Kristen, let's talk a little bit about the 5 patterns that we get kind of stuck in or how we get ourselves through that. And, like I said, it's probably a really good time of year to discuss that because we're past that honeymoon phase of a new year. If you have a resolution, we're kind of now into the nitty gritty where if you are, whether it be fitness or weight loss or reading more books or writing notes to friends or whatever it may be, You probably are somewhat at a crosshairs with that right now. I can tell you right now, I kind of did a little reset this morning on my New Year's resolution. My gym started a 8-week challenge this morning. I wasn't going to sign up for it. Funny story, because it didn't start until January 31st, and I thought, I don't want to start a weight loss program on January 31st because I'm going to be down so much weight in January. Why would I start on the 31st? Well, joke's on me. So we're just going to start on January 31st. long story short, we are hitting the reset button this morning. I was at the gym at 5 a.m. this morning, so I am picking up where I left off, and I'm continuing on, trying to get myself unstuck. But why don't you lead us in this conversation around the 5 patterns?
Good for you. Look at your thinking. So we know you're noticing your thinking and how that was keeping you stuck.
Yep.
And you decided, I'm gonna jump on this challenge. I'm gonna break the cycle and I'm gonna jump back in. It's never too late.
Nope.
So that's the beautiful part. You're modeling what it looks like to have our thoughts keep us really stuck, and how you're like, you know what? This doesn't feel good. I'm going to jump in and make some changes. You didn't necessarily say that, but that's usually what propels us into making a change.
If the alarm goes off at 4:15, then we're clearly making some changes in life. So
I'm impressed. I mean, let's give yourself some kudos.
Not much traffic on State Road 32 at 4:15 in the morning. I can tell you that much.
No, that's impressive. But to kind of get yourself up and going at 4:15, pat on the back, kudos to you. Okay, so let's jump in the 5 patterns that keep us stuck. And I want you to kind of think of this as an umbrella to what we call avoidance. So think about avoidance as the biggest pattern, and sometimes denial plays a role in that. So avoidance means I'm putting off something because it feels too hard, too big, too massive, too overwhelming, and I just don't feel like I can mentally do it. So that's the overarching umbrella when we think of these 5 patterns. And I try to make it pretty clear because I like to think of the 5 patterns as the 5 Ps. And that way you can remember it easier. So let's dive in quickly with a high-level overview of what are the 5 Ps. Do you fall into any of these? This is the invitation. I love this Mental Health Monday because it's to help you expand your thinking. Think about things in a different way, self-reflect, and decide what you might want to work on or what you might want to heal or change or evolve. So let's start with number 1 in no particular order, and let's check in to see if these apply to any of us, which clearly they do for me. Number 1 is we pretend everything's okay. How many of us fall into this? We pretend we're fine. Remember, feelings inside.
Feelings inside, not expressed.
Okay, so pretending we're okay, we mask with a facade of everything's great. But on the inside, we are sad, we're grieving, we're afraid, we're anxious, we're depressed, we're masking, we're hiding, we're pretending we're fine when really we're not. And when we pretend we're fine, we can't really change it because we're not really acknowledging the truth about what's going on inside of us. And that is one of the biggest patterns I'm seeing, is pretending that we're fine. And we learn that as kids. We learn to be like, everything's good, because maybe we played that role in the family system. Maybe we played the role of the one that had it all together because other siblings or maybe a parent didn't have it all together. And you're like, ooh, don't want to cause anybody any more stress. So I'll just, and we don't even know we're doing it. It's not something we're even conscious of as children. We're like, okay, I'll be the one that's the responsible one that, takes care of everything, that gets good grades, that achieves. So pretending can be a pattern that keeps us stuck and lonely because we're not really showing or sharing how we really feel. So it feels very isolating. It feels very lonely. We feel like we don't have deep connections because we're not really showing people who we really are and what's really going on in the inside. And so pretending can keep us stuck. Okay, the next one is pleasing. What we're doing is we're trying to please everybody else and we're abandoning ourselves. And we also learned most of these patterns we learned as children, and they were survival strategies. They helped us. But being a pleaser takes us away from being our authentic self. And this leads me into number 3 is placating. I see this a lot with couples. You go, what is placating? It's going, okay, I'll do that. Or, okay, yeah, I'm fine with that, whatever dinner option there is, or I'm fine with whatever you say. Whatever you want, we'll do. Because guess what? That keeps the peace. Then there's no arguing, there's no conflict, there's no hard conversations. No one's upset with me, there's no dysregulation, there's no chaos. So I'll just placate and go along with it. Well, what we see over time is placating relationships end up dead because go ahead.
I was going to ask: is placating and pleasing is placating more of a reactionary, where pleasing's more of the proaction side of
You got
things?
it. You got it.
Okay, cool.
Good. Nice. Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
love this. Yes.
Yep. The facial hair.
I love this. So placating is really as a result of trying to really tell someone, like go along with, and pleasing is more, I'm going to hustle. Like there's a kind of a hustle in it, where placating, there's not much of a hustle in that. It's just a reaction, a response to something. So there's the difference. There's a lot more energy in pleasing because you're trying to really make the other person happy. Where placating, we're just trying to keep the peace, which can, there's a little nuance with it. So I'm glad you brought that up because there is a little bit of a difference there. And placating can really keep us trapped in the cycle of not having a voice. And then we can feel resentful. We're like, gosh, it's always about you, or I'm doing everything to please, that you want to do. And we don't do anything I want to do. Well, that's because the person hasn't spoken up, because they're afraid, they're avoiding hard conversations. They're avoiding any kind of conflict, which really goes way back. So if you grew up in a home where there was a lot of conflict, or maybe there was just a lot of disconnection, that's one of your biggest fears, is disconnection. So you learn that, oh, I'll just go along with, it's kind of to keep the peace. Here's the other one. We perform. Performing is more about, again, this hustling. Like I'm going to achieve. I'm going to do everything really well in order to kind of not feel shame, which leads me to perfectionism. Perfectionism really is about avoiding blame, shame, and judgment, which all of these really fall into that category. So we try to protect ourselves from being shamed and blamed and judged and rejected and abandoned. So I'll do everything really as well as I can, as perfect as I can, which perfectionism, there's no such thing. But we learn that then I will try to not have people say bad things about me, people not, say they don't like me and not be liked. And so this can keep us really stuck. It keeps us at a younger age. And I know that sounds really interesting to say, but it can keep us functioning emotionally at a younger age, because we're not allowed. We feel like if I'm really who I say I am, if you've heard about imposter syndrome, and imposter syndrome says, well, if people really knew the truth about me, I feel like a fraud, a phony, if people really knew how imperfect I am, they're not going to like me, or they're going to think less of me. You'll see a lot of that in all three of these, but really performing, you'll see a lot of the imposter syndrome, where you really try to put on this face, right? So people don't think less of you. And when we look at these patterns, we go, oh, they really did serve me probably fairly well in childhood in some ways. They kept me from getting in trouble. They kept me from harm. And then they become maladaptive as adults. They no longer work because they're taking our authentic self out of the picture. Where we're, as an adult, it's okay to have your own thoughts, feelings, opinions. It's how do you manage those? Do you get real dysregulated around them? Are you able to kind of self-regulate? And these are patterns that really, when I work with people, are keeping them feeling small, playing small, and not feeling connected to themselves or anyone else.
So I guess, can we talk a little bit about strategies for maybe even self-identification of these? If you're kind of sitting here wondering like, oh, that kind of sounds familiar, or like what would even stop somebody to think through this on themselves? What kind of questions should they be asking themselves in order to kind of maybe diagnose, and then kind of like, where do I want to go from here? How do I get myself out of this way, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So let's use an example of, let's take because I think the one that I see most commonly is let's take the placating one, because I think it's the one that I see even children do with their parents.
I was going to ask about children, because I feel like in a way we raise our kids at times to to placate, right? Because I mean, they're in school, they're following instructions, they're, at home, I need you to line up and get the car and put your coat on. Yes, yes, yes. Although mine don't ever say yes, so they don't ever placate. But most are trained to that way. So I was going to ask a little bit specifically about kids and placating.
Because they want to please us, right? That's how they feel like they get worth
And
value.
part of me is kind of cool with that. So I'm like, how do I, I want my kids to, be on their own. Like, I don't want you to like not do what I'm telling you to do,
Yeah, because
you can have a voice, but not until like you're 18.
Exactly.
So.
I think it starts. Here's the first thing. As a recognition of just kind of, oh, let me rumble through my own understanding of my own pattern. That's the most important place to start. So how do we do that? We say, let me ask myself, first, awareness is the first step to any change we want to make. So we have to start kind of wrapping our mind around this. It's not like all of a sudden we're like, oh, yes, I'm a placater. I'll never do that again. It doesn't work like that. It's like, oh, I never even thought about that. Or, oh, yeah, I am such a people pleaser because I'm afraid of rejection. And we go, oh, let me dig into that. When did that start? If I float back, when did I start really being a people pleaser? Oh, I did that in school. Like I really wanted my teachers to like me. And I felt like, oh, when my teacher, I'm giving an example, like, oh, when my teachers liked me, I felt more confident. I felt more likable. Or I started doing this in my friend group. Like they would say, well, what do you think? And I go, oh, yeah, I like that too, even though I didn't like that. And we start floating back to notice, when did the pattern get developed? And that helps us bring some self-compassion or some awareness to how did it start? And then how do we shift it? So I could go into this topic a long time. So I'm trying to high level this. I encourage people to write out like, oh, when did this start? How did it start? And we use these patterns as self-protection. Okay, so that's what I really want to emphasize. And we go, ooh, I've used this for so long to kind of protect myself from all that blame, shame, judgment, rejection. And it really doesn't protect me. Okay, do I want to change it? So this is the thing. If we have someone come into my office and they say, well, I'm stuck in placating, they're not going to come in and say that because that's not a word people use.
Right.
But I'm going, okay. And I go, well, they'll say, I'm stuck in my relationship because I don't feel like I have a voice. And I'll say, do you want to change that? And if they say, yes, I do, now we can do the work. If they say, no, I really don't want to, we're not going to change anything. So it's like this willingness and this awareness to say, yeah, I do. It's like radical ownership. And I love that term. I made it up a while ago. Because if you own that, oh, I am a people pleaser, oh, I am placating to kind of just keep the peace, which prevents you from having deep connection. Yeah, I do want to change that. Okay, now we've got to go back and kind of figure out the roots of that. And then it's empowering yourself to then say, okay, for example, kids with placation. I will ask my children, this is a question to ask yourself, but I ask my kids, I'll say, do you really feel that way? I want to give a good example. Have you watched the show Ted Lasso?
Oh yeah, we love Ted Lasso.
Apple TV. Okay. Yep. Now, for those of you that haven't watched it, he's a coach that comes in over in England that takes over this team to try to turn the team around. But
he's an American football coach going to coach English football, so really has no idea about the game.
And I don't want to spoiler alert, but this is no, you didn't spoiler alert. What I was going to say was going to spoiler alert. But here's the bottom line. In this show, he and his wife, I won't tell it what happens, but they go to therapy. And the therapist says, in order to tell the truth, your code word will be Oklahoma. Do you remember that episode where he says Oklahoma?
Yep.
So this is what I say is, we have to empower our children to be able to tell us the truth and for us to be able to handle it. So in our house with the couple now, this has become our thing. Mark will go, my husband, he'll go, Oklahoma. And I'm like, we laugh because he's like, tell me the truth. Well, we've already tell the truth. So we're like, that is the truth. But for those couples that they've been in placation mode, they've been in pleaser, performer, perfecter, or the family system has, this is a great way to go. Oklahoma means our code word for tell the truth. And it's okay and it's safe
Yeah.
because people learned that it wasn't safe to really say how they felt. And you got to create a family system where you can handle the truth of what they say. Now, we have situations where, no, I don't want to go, and you can process that, and we have to go because that's part of, we've already made a commitment. We have to go to school, right? So you may not like it, that's fine, and process it, and we can hold space for both, and we have to go.
Well, can you talk a little bit about when you say Oklahoma, it's not like, okay, well, everything up until that point is not the truth, but really is that more to be utilized for like hey, this is going to be a tough conversation. This is something I need you to have space for, kind of a like, again, like I said, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, well, I'm not telling you the truth up until I say Oklahoma. Then that's the truth. Do you want to hit on that?
Yeah. So here's the thing with the Oklahoma part. If you've been in a relationship where you've placated, you've said it's okay, I've gone along with, and the partner really wants to know the truth. This helps create safety, and this is the key for you to say, I wasn't lying before, but I was trying to make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Big difference. Not like you're intentionally trying to lie to somebody. You think you're doing what makes the other person happy. And as a result, you've placated or pleased or performed or whatever one of these you want to use to try to make the other person happy. I'm talking typically in marriages and with children. They think I'm making mom and dad happy or caregiver happy, or I'm making my partner happy. And what happens is the partner isn't happy because they want authentic connection. And so Oklahoma simply says, oh, I've been doing that where I think I'm making you happy. And that's not what you want. You really want to know how I really feel.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives permission for everybody to go, it's okay. It's safe for you to say how you really feel. I can handle it. You don't need to make me happy, because guess what? No one can make us happy. That is radical ownership. You can only, and I hate the word happy because that comes and goes, but I can be the only one that brings joy into my life. They can do things and I can experience joy, but they're not responsible for making me feel happy or joy.
Mm-hmm.
And we get that mixed up in relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
that can keep us stuck and lost and lonely because we're not speaking up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't safe probably to speak up. So like, this is all compassion to you. You're learning a new pattern. And the new pattern says, I'm going to show up and I'm going to, with love and grace, say how I feel. And I know we've talked about this many episodes. I feel, with a feeling word in there, not I feel like you. Never take out the trash because that's just a judgment. I feel sad because I really want to connect with you and I really do want to know how you feel. And it's okay to tell me and I can handle it. Now, I have had couples say, well, I don't know if I can handle it, right? If they tell me the truth, and I'll say, okay, then we got to work on that. That's your scared little part inside, little child inside that says, what am I going to do if they don't love me anymore? Or what am I going to do if they're upset with me? That's actually healthy. Now we're actually working on healing things. It's like those couples that come in that have been married 25 years and they've avoided all hard conversations and they're like, yeah, I don't love you anymore. And I'm like, okay, it's because we never talked about anything hard or what was inside. And in all fairness, they didn't learn the skills.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to point out, because I think what you said about a minute ago was something that kind of transformed last year. I was working through some relationships, in my life, and it came down to the whole conversation about me pleasing or me. You cannot control someone else. You can't make someone else feel a certain way. Now, you can do things that make them react to that or experience that, but that was one of the most influential things I heard last year was that I cannot make someone feel X. Now, whether it be my wife or my kids, my mom, my brothers, whatever it may be, you can't will them to feel a certain way. Now, again, your actions can affect how they feel, but that was something that this was eye-popping for me last year, and so I wanted to kind of drive that message home again.
Yeah, because that's a pattern. If we get into a pattern of trying to make someone feel a certain way, oh my gosh, we're like, I am working so hard and you're not really, we can get resentful. Because we're like, I have done all the things on your, your love language list and you're still not happy. And that's a deeper dive. That person has to do that deeper work, which looks like acknowledging and naming instead of shoving under the rug
Mhm.
what they really feel. Well, we haven't given permission slips to everybody. And this is the time. And I don't mean vomit on somebody. I'm taking radical ownership of how I feel. Because if you're in a relationship where you're constantly hustling, you will burn out and you will be resentful. It's just the bottom line. Because you think, well, I'm doing all these things and you're still not happy. Well, that's because that's their job.
Mhm.
Now, I can certainly do things not to make a person happy just because I love them. I'm not looking for a certain outcome. It's just because I feel filled up. And so I'm just pouring into my partner. And with our children, if we can let them have a voice and tolerate that. Now, that's where people get off base because they're like, well, that's not how I was raised. And I go, I get that. And that's why everybody's in therapy right now
Mhm.
because we didn't have a voice and we have to be able with in a healthy way. I don't mean communicate and dump on your parents. I mean, they learn how to name emotion, communicate their emotion to you, and we can hold space for a boundary and emotion
Mhm.
because that is how we break patterns is through relationship. So when we try to tell our kids something and they're not responsive, chances are there's a relationship fracture or there's something else going on that needs to be processed or attended to.
So one question before we run out of time here, we talked a lot about the 5 Ps, but so if I'm sitting here thinking, all right, I'm a placater, I'm a pleaser, I'm a performer, whatever it may be, flip it a little bit and say I'm in a relationship, say Julie Jensen, this is all hypothetical, is a placater. She's not. But how do I address that gently with someone like, hey, I don't necessarily want you to be a placater or a performer, or, I need more out of this relationship from you. How do you, where the other, and now granted, you probably need to do your own work and figure out what you are first before you start throwing stones at the glass house, right? But how do I kind of flip the script a little bit and get to that point?
So the more self-aware you are, the more empowered you are to have this conversation. That's why I love this work. It's to empower you so you can go, I noticed that I like people to start off and own. Like I notice I shut down and I kind of placate because I'm just like, I don't want a conflict. And I would love it if we could, as a couple, like be honest and share how we really feel. And I really want to know, and I can handle it, how you feel, because I think that can bring us closer together and feel more connected to each other. And so, see how I like to start off with some ownership on my end because that softens, like, I'm not just picking on you, or I'm not just making this about you and what you are and aren't doing. I'm so self aware that I know, and this is hard to do, by the way, making it sound so easy. Just go, oh, and I'm this and I'm that. And it's not. It's someone that really is committed to understanding themselves and their triggers and their patterns. We are all pattern beings. And if we get stuck in this avoidance, and that's the umbrella we're working under, or denial pattern, and we're kind of sleepwalking through our lives, we don't get where we want to go. We don't have possibilities and hope anymore. The more you start taking a look and owning your stuff, the more hope you will have. And it feels like it'd be the opposite. Like, oh, I'm not getting stuck in all my baggage and all my stuff. Well, if we work through our trauma and we take radical ownership of our emotions, not what happened to us, our emotions, I promise you, you make change. You heal. And is it a journey? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. Is it up and down? Yes. And that's the patterns when you make, like you're doing this workout, this 8-week challenge. That's not going to be easy, is it? You're signing up to say, I'm going to do the hard. And is it going to suck at times? Excuse my language. But yes, I mean, that's the thing about work is it's going to be hard.
Well, that whole conversation made me think back to my middle school days, which makes me cringe. But when the whole when a girl broke up with me, it was like, oh, it's not you, it's me. It's that old adage, it's not you, it's me. No, I mean that's true. It's really not you, it's me. I need to worry about myself first. Think about that. Through this whole thing, it's really not you, it's me. I've got to work through it. So think about your middle school self when you're going through some of these guiding conversations. Think about yourself too, and what work you're doing for yourself. So we could go on this topic for a while. We got to wrap it up. So before we leave, though, Kristen, if someone's in crisis right now, where do they turn?
1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK. You can call any time. If you're struggling, if you don't know where to turn, please call the number or text 741-741 anytime, any place. This is the time to not hide. We are in a season of feeling so isolated, lonely, and shut down. There is help available. So there's also a page on the Noblesville, City of Noblesville website with a ton of resources. Please go there, click the button, and you will find a plethora of resources. And if you don't want to talk, 741-741, you can text and just say connect or help or whatever you need.
It's awesome. And again, reach out. You are not alone in this process. 2 weeks from today is Valentine's Day. And I think it's a perfect day to have Mental Health Monday personally. So I'm looking forward to it. And Kristen Boyce, as always, thank you. You're awesome. Tell Mark hi. Thanks for all you guys do to continue to pour into the community. And I'll see you back here on Valentine's Day for another edition of Mental Health Monday. Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you so much.